Hello, friends and gamers. Thanks again for watching, for listening, wherever you download your podcast from or watch this amazing piece of video. You know, I'm just kidding. But it's another first-person shooter Friday. So this week, Titanfall launched. And, you know, there's some hiccups, some technical issues with the online servers, as to be expected. But I don't think it's worth anybody's time to talk about whether or not is this a great launch? Is this Electronic Arts, EA, the publisher, responsible for the terrible Sims launch, the terrible Battlefield 4 launch? Are they screwing up Titanfall? I don't even think that matters. Number one, it's all Microsoft servers to begin with. If you're playing it on the Xbox One, it's a non-issue. I think what you should be more concerned with is all the hype behind Microsoft claiming that Titanfall is the game to buy. You're being marketed to believe that if you buy an Xbox One, it will be worth it, if for no other reason than Titanfall. That might be setting the bar a little too high. I have not played the game, but it won't take long, won't take much Googling to find other reviews around the web with other people saying the same thing. That Titanfall is good at what it does. And that is, it's Call of Duty with a new twist. It's got giant robots and you can parkour. That's it. And it's good for what it is. It's not a game changer, pun intended. It's not going to redefine first-person shooters. It doesn't have a campaign. There's more to talk about what Titanfall doesn't have than what it has. What it doesn't offer and what it offers. Will that be a detriment? I don't think so. People are still willing to spend the $60 to play this game and play the first-person shooter for what it is. You could look at that as a business decision by Respawn, looking at the data and saying, hey, look, most of our Call of Duty players, gamers, our demographic, you know, in the early days of the Call of Duty franchise, they used to play the campaign. Now they don't. It's no big deal. So they cut it short. It's multiplayer only. That's no big deal. So I wouldn't criticize Titanfall based on what other people are saying. For example, the Giant Bombcast, their podcast. Just search them. Just look them up. You know, those guys talked about it. They said great things, and they mentioned some things that it didn't have. The biggest criticism for this is that it's not going to save Xbox One. That's the biggest criticism. I just hope that this isn't a sneak peek at what Destiny is going to be like. Not that Destiny will be only multiplayer or it will lack features, because I don't believe that for a second. But that Titanfall and Respawn is continually being referred to as, you know, that game from the guys who made Call of Duty. Are they going to be able to shake Respawn? I'm talking about. Are they going to be able to shake that Call of Duty title and eventually say, hey, we're just the makers of Titanfall? But every time you mention Titanfall, you have to say, oh, it's the makers of Call of Duty. It's Call of Duty-like. Is that a sneak peek at Destiny? Because it's being made by Bungie, the creators of Halo, that we're going to constantly be saying, hey, it's just like Halo? I think the larger discussion is just, is it a good enough game to stand on its own? Is Titanfall a good enough game that if you buy an Xbox One specifically for this game, that you will be satisfied? That's a big investment for a really huge unknown. I think this conversation always circles back to the consoles. And I've talked before, I've been playing video games since I was a little kid, so I've seen and witnessed all these different consoles kind of come and go. Heck, this morning I found some great YouTube videos on the Commodore 64. I was just thinking, I was sitting down at the laptop and I was thinking, you know what would be a great game reimagined today? If I saw this on Xbox Live Arcade, I would immediately download it. If they reimagined Airborne Ranger for the Commodore 64, for the current gen, even, you know, keep it an 8-bit, it wasn't even 8-bit, heck, it was probably like, I don't know, 4-bit. But if you keep it a retro feel to the game, maybe update some of the graphics a little bit, but still keep it that top-down 2D scrolling kind of a game, I think it would be fun, at least for me. I would be their one happy customer. But I found some YouTube videos where someone was doing a Let's Play with Commodore 64. And I was like, yes, this is awesome. I'm going to be watching these videos all day long. But it just reminded me that why was I so excited about the Commodore 64? When my neighbor got a Nintendo Entertainment System, why was I so amazed and had to get that? Was it just because it's a new shiny object? Because let's face it, sometimes if it's just new and shiny and the bell rings a little bit differently, it's going to get our attention, at least for a couple of days, right? It's enough for an impulse buy. But what is it about these consoles that if I look back and say, hey, I had to get the N64, or not the N64, but the Super Nintendo. The N64 comes along, the PlayStation comes along, and those were the game systems I kind of skipped over I didn't get an Amiga Commodore 64 system. Never wanted, wasn't even interested. When the Sega Saturn and Atari Jaguar were being marketed, I wasn't interested in those as well. I was late to the game even getting an Xbox, just because they didn't offer any games I was interested in at the time. The 360 was the same way. I was interested. Call of Duty, was it 2 or 3? It looked great on the 360 when it was, in the stores and Best Buy and in the display. But it wasn't. I didn't feel compelled. I was still enjoying my Tom Clancy games on the original Xbox. I was still enjoying Madden. I didn't feel the need to get a 360. I think that's the discussion in regards to Xbox One. Why the sales are slow right now? Why you would be hesitant about spending your money on a next console? And then I think about, what was it about Commodore 64 or the NES? It has to be truly innovative. It has to change your gaming experience. It has to change the way you're going to interact with this media. With the Atari, the system I had for the Commodore 64, it was very limited. I had to really use my imagination when playing Yar's Revenge. I had to fill in the blanks because there wasn't much graphics to it. It was just a bunch of blocks. But it was a fun, and the gameplay and mechanics were very simple because they didn't have much to work with. So what you're seeing with Titanfall and the games being released on Xbox One aren't that much different from 360. And I think that's why people really aren't interested. And if Microsoft is putting so much effort behind Titanfall, is it a mistake? It's purely marketing. They're telling you up front, this is the game to buy. This is going to change everything you thought about first-person shooters. Look, you have a mech. Look how awesome it looks. You're wall running. I don't think that's enough. I really don't. At what point can we say, oh, well, it can run at higher, graphic resolution? And that's important because look back to the 360 and the Xbox. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's roll back to the PlayStation. The PlayStation was innovative in that we started seeing real 3D graphics. With the N64. You started to see real 3D graphics, and that was a game changer. Completely changed your perspective. It was a new gaming experience. But then the jump to the next generation with PlayStation 2 and Xbox. What was the difference there? Because now we have 3D gaming. The resolution was a little bit better, or a lot better, depending on your opinion. The games you were playing. But at what point what feature was added? I think it was Xbox Live. Or any sort of online activity play. Voice over IP. Included in your console gaming device. It's another innovation. Another feature that you didn't have in previous iterations of the console. The 360 built on that. But I think that's when we first saw higher graphic resolutions making an impact again. Maybe to the same extent that the NES over the Atari, or NES over the Commodore 64, or the NES over everything that existed at the time. It was the first time you said, oh my goodness, this looks like, arcade quality stuff here. Physical arcade. I would rather sit at home and play this than go anywhere else and play any other gaming system. I think that's when you saw that with the 360. With the Xbox One, I don't know what it's offering. Besides, I can use voice control to turn it on and turn it off. Which, from what I'm hearing from other people, is it's more of an inconvenience than a feature that I would like to use. So all in all, I just don't think it's worth it. And I don't think that Titanfall is innovative enough just in a game itself to even distance itself from its predecessor, which is the Call of Duty franchise. It's derivative. Highly, highly derivative. You could say all first-person shooters are, but man, oh man. And I started this with saying, is this a warning? Should we be optimistically cautious about Destiny or even any future Halo titles? And I'll tell you this about Halo. Anybody who's thinking that it's going to revert back to some previous, original Xbox Halo 2-esque type of gameplay, I don't know. You must live in Washington State or Colorado. You're high. You're not living in the real world. They are only going to add new features to the game. They're not going to pull and rip features out and give you a game that was sold 6, 8, 10, 12 years ago. It's funny because when you think about Destiny or Titanfall, we want to anticipate and be hopeful for new features. How much different is this going to play? It's going to be fun, familiar, but how much more exciting is it going to be? Then when you think about Halo and those Halo fans, they want things to just be old. Just turn back the clock. They want to go back to the old days. They want the old days before the internet. I'd rather read my newspaper. Like, that's what they sound like. And I love to poke fun at all of those people just because it's insanity. It's insane to think that you're going to get this game, you're going to get Halo Combat Evolved for the original Xbox with updated graphics. To include all the glitches and jumps that were in the original maps. That's just insane. It's okay to want those things. It is. It's okay to want. You can't choose what you want. So it's okay. I can't fault you for that. But it's not going to happen. I'll be surprised. I'll issue an apology if it does happen. But I think what you're going to see is, I'll make a wild prediction. I think what you're going to see is, you're going to see more MMO elements featured in Halo. You're going to see more character progression, and you're going to see a lot more guns. You're not going to see less. You're only going to see more. You're going to have more options. You're going to have more character customization. Because look around. That's what people want. That's what's going to keep people coming back, and it's also a way to monetize the game. Every one of those features keeps people playing a little bit longer, makes people feel like they're getting something out of the game. As long as they hear a nice audible cue every couple of minutes while you're playing the game, it feels like, yes, this was worth it. It was worth my time invested. And not only that, when you offer up the chance to buy something, to say, hey, look, you can have this cool weapon skin or armor, ship design, I don't know, vehicle access, and they can charge money for it, yes, they're going to do that. That makes good business sense. Why would they strip it down to a game that was made, like I said, a decade ago? It makes absolutely zero sense. I understand for competitive reasons people want that true arena feeling, but that doesn't sell well. It doesn't make as much money, so it's not going to happen. And these games are going to have to offer some new innovative way of playing, of engaging the player, the gamer, that the previous console generation didn't. Because just improving the graphics is not enough to sell these consoles. That's what they're experiencing right now. It's not good. It's not good for them. When Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, and other, Wall Street publications, journalists are talking about Microsoft and Xbox One and concerns that the shareholders have, that's not good. As a gamer, that's not good. When after every launch of a new title, these massive development houses start laying off people, that's not good. They're spending up to $100 million developing these massive franchise titles. As soon as the game launches, within 6 months, they start cutting staff. What's going on? They're not making their money back. They're not hitting those earnings projections that they thought they were going to hit. And I think it's because it's just not innovative enough. You're not giving people something new. You're giving them the exact same thing you did before. And look, things are moving at a much faster pace now. People don't want the same thing every single day when it comes to their technology, to their games. It's got to be new. It's got to be different. It has to be trending. Some of this Twitch integration and YouTube integration is good. I think that's a step forward. Maybe that will be something that could save the consoles right now and bring it kind of into this decade at least. But it's going to have to be more than just, I can press a button and automatically stream, automatically record a clip for YouTube. It needs to be something more engaging because you could do that already. That functionality existed. Yeah, with some third-party hardware and software, you could do that on the Xbox 360 or nearly any other device you have. So it needs to be more transformative than just pressing a button. I don't know what that's going to be. If I did, I would invent it. If I did, I would sell it. I don't know what it needs, but I know that that's what would save the Xbox. If you're going to talk about social media integration into the console, it's got to be easy to use. It has to make sense. And it has to solve a problem that already exists. I don't know if it solves a problem because you already have Let's Play. You already have YouTubers that are recording their videos and putting them up online, and they're making a ton of money. The Atlantic just ran an article on PewDiePie. He's got the most subscribers on YouTube than anybody else, over 24 million. He makes millions of dollars. And he's a Let's Play guy. He just plays video games and streams it and talks over the video. That's it. So I'm sorry if you're the Xbox One or the PS4, the Wii U, whatever other console that's going to come out within the next year or so. You're not doing anything innovative. You're not solving a problem. If gamers want to record their video, they already know how to do that. They're already doing it. Are you really making it easier? There has to be some sort of innovation that takes place. But I'm also concerned with Microsoft and that, or Sony as well, that their intentions aren't just to make it easier or solve the problems that gamers might see, and that, hey, I want to share my video on YouTube. I want my friends to see my gameplay. I want to broadcast my clan match. I want people to see this competitive online tournament that I hosted and played in. I don't think that they're doing it for those reasons. And I mentioned millions of dollars. Anytime you start talking about millions of dollars, people get interested in. Banks get interested. Investors get interested. People with MBAs get interested. This is about cutting out the middleman. What you have right now is you have YouTube, a facilitator, the medium, allowing you to put your videos up online for everybody to view. You also have these media networks that they're almost like talent scouts. You can look at it, it's almost like an agency, like a talent agency. And they're signing YouTube content creators, people like PewDiePie, people like Boogie, people like T. Martin, Drifter, some of my favorites, Goon on Fire, Jimbathy, trademark. The YouTube networks or talent agencies, they'll sign them. They'll cut them checks. They'll say, hey, look, you don't need to worry about the fluctuations of how much you earn month to month. We're just going to, in this contract, we're going to give you a flat rate. We'll cover all the legal copyright issues. We'll give you support. We'll promote your channel. It's a great deal. Everybody wins. I'm not going to complain about that. But I'll say that I don't think Microsoft is in the business of trying to integrate Twitch and YouTube streaming into their next console because they want to make it easier for you to make money. That they want you to make money and that they want the YouTube networks to make money and they want Google to make money. All off those ads. I don't think that's why they want to do it. I think they want a piece. And if that's the reason, which I believe it is, then the next step is going to be completely cutting out the middleman, and then the YouTube networks go away, and possibly you, the gamer, being the content creator, goes away. Because look, at the end of the day, and I've talked about this on previous podcasts, that is not your content. This whole fair use argument that you can use this video as a means to make money because it's under the fair use. Look, fair use in copyright law came about so that a newspaper could run a photo and maybe have in the background, let's say, a company like Walmart. And that's the front of the store. Walmart can't sue the newspaper for copyright infringement for using their trademark name in their article. It's a picture of it on the front page of the newspaper. Because it's news related and it's fact. Something happened here. That's what fair use is. There's some other things like parody. You can have comical comedy and a parody. You can use the original source material. That's fair use. The real gray area is the transformative, meaning I took this previously copyrighted material and I've added to it and made something else with it, or you used a portion of it. The general rule is less than 10% of the original content. This makes sense for hip-hop artists, for rappers. When you sample music, if you use less than 10%, if your work is transformative, it's not derivative, that could be considered fair use. Using video gameplay and you just talking over it while you're playing through the campaign as intended isn't necessarily transformative. You can hire a good enough lawyer that will argue it for you, but they can also. Microsoft, whoever the original copyright owners, could also argue. And there have already been cases settled where the original copyright holder will claim copyright over your new material, your transformative material, and they'll say what you only have a right to is the transformative part. Everything that's derivative, I still own. Case in point is the 50 Shades of Grey novel. That crazy S&M book that's being made into a movie. That started out as Twilight fan fiction. Completely derivative. To get away from that so that they wouldn't be sued, the author completely stripped everything Twilight related out of the book. And that's how you ended up with something new. Could PewDiePie do that? Could he completely strip everything off of his YouTube channel, all the video that he's using, and just have his audio, and it be something original that somebody wants to watch? Or are people only tuning in primarily to see the gameplay? I've wondered about this myself. If I'm doing a podcast, I know people like moving pictures. I know they like YouTube over listening to a podcast. But if I just put my face on here, is that enough? What if I have gameplay? What if I have gameplay footage of Call of Duty, of Titanfall, of Destiny, of Grand Theft Auto 5, all the games that people are playing, the most popular ones out there, and then my voice underneath it? Would that be better? Yes, of course. Because you already know that people are playing those games, they like those games, and you could just look on the internet and see that people are already attracted to watching people play it on Twitch and on YouTube. Let's Play is popular. Why wouldn't that be a major concern when Xbox or Microsoft's sitting down and they're going to launch their new console and say, hey, look, here's an area where we can further monetize our console. We can take a little bit more money back. As it streams, we integrate YouTube and Twitch into the console, we'll take a cut of that ad revenue. Our gamers won't need the networks anymore, the YouTube networks. They can just rely on us. It's a good business decision. That's not transformative. That's not innovative. That's not going to save the console. And getting way back to Titanfall, how much of Titanfall is derivative of Call of Duty? Now, I'm not saying that there should be like lawsuits and stuff, because I'm sure that everybody involved between those studios, a lot of money was thrown around. Everything's fine. Titanfall is a different game. But is it different enough to build an entirely new franchise? Because let's face it, Call of Duty wasn't just Halo set in World War II. Halo wasn't just Doom with mythology. These games were innovative. When you played them, you remember playing them because it offered a different experience. It changed your perception of gaming. Outside, I know this is First-Person Shooter Friday, but outside First-Person Shooter Friday, there's other games doing that. The Walking Dead, the Telltale series. Now they have the Borderlands 2 series coming out. They had that werewolf game that came out. It was almost like what old is new again, a choose-your-adventure style game set in a console video game format with narrative as the engine behind the game. Gone Home, Last of Us. There are other games out there that are pushing narrative over game features. Storytelling as a way to connect. Transformative, innovative ways to play video games, to experience them in a different way. I don't think Titanfall is going to do that. I think the big question is, will Destiny do that? Will Halo 5 do that? Will any game coming out in the next year and a half, 2 years, when are we going to see an innovative game? One of my favorite people to follow on Twitter is Cliff Bleszinski, the co-creator of Gears of War. Only because he hates me when I respond to his wild-ass tweets. He likes to pound his chest, and rightfully so, about the cover mechanic in Gears of War. And how that was copied, once it appeared in Gears of War, it started being copied elsewhere. And that's what I mean by innovative. You put people in the game and they start playing the game and experience it in a different way. If it's just the same thing but a little bit better, it's not going to be worth it. It's almost like, should you upgrade your home television from your 60-inch HD to the 4K resolution? What's 4K? It's better than HD. Well, how much better? I can't tell at this point. I don't know. My eyes aren't that good. I mean, geez, it's like either spend the money on a 4K resolution television or just pray that your eyesight gets worse. And that way, there's no difference. I'm not missing out on 4K resolution because I can't see it anyway. If the game is only slightly better and the Xbox One is only slightly better, why bother? Why bother with it? Now, getting back to that YouTube stuff, if you're only going to allow people to just click a button and upload your videos to YouTube, have you made it that much better than what I can already do with some third-party hardware and software? If you didn't, why am I going to bother? The answer to the question isn't because people like that right now. Take some advice from Ray Kurzweil. You don't invent things to answer today's problem. You have to think about the problem in a couple of years. Invent that. Solve tomorrow's problem today. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment, subscribe, share, tweet. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to have this discussion. Because look, everybody's going to say amazing things, talk nonstop about Titanfall, all these news coming out, all these new games coming out for PlayStation 4, for Xbox. Hopefully I've given you a reason to, at the very least, play devil's advocate. Thanks again for listening. I am Gunnar, and this was the Gamers on Tap podcast.